Hey y'all, today I'm going to be showing you how I edit my TV show and movie edit TikToks in Adobe Premiere. I use Adobe Premiere for like all of my video stuff. It's just what I learned in school. First thing I do is go up to File and I hit New Sequence. So this is just setting the aspect ratio and everything for the clip that we'll be editing. So these are the settings that I use to edit TikToks. Really the only thing I ever change is the aspect ratio because that's the important bit. I don't even know what half of those other settings actually do. And then obviously when you drag the clip into the timeline, it doesn't fill the screen because usually TV shows and movies are horizontal, so I just click on the clip, go over to the effects panel and scale it up until there is no black bar on the top or the bottom. And then obviously this cuts off quite a bit on the sides, especially if it's a widescreen movie, but really with anything it cuts off a lot on the sides. So then I go through and I just make little cuts so I can change the position of the clips to show what I want to show, and I also cut out any bits of the scene that I don't want to include. So to make cuts, I just hit the C key and it brings up the little razor tool, and I just click on the timeline wherever I want to make a cut, and this is just me like clicking and dragging around the clips to get the scene down to below 1 minute. The TikTok limit is 60 seconds and usually it cuts off at 59, so I have to be very choice about what bits from each scene I include. Whenever I want to use like a TikTok audio or something, I usually just save some random video that uses the audio and then airdrop it to myself, drag it into the timeline, and unlink the audio so I just have the audio. So here I'm using that, oh, that's a really good question, I wasn't expecting that question, audio. I think it's Beyonce, I'm not 100% sure. And I'm using that over Harry, so I'm just dragging it there. I'm putting him in slow-mo. Usually when I use this sound, I do slow motion and I'll do like a cross dissolve fade, and sometimes I'll make it black and white to sort of elaborate on the confusion aspect of it. If you've seen my videos, you've probably seen me use this effect before, so you know the vibe that I'm going for with it. But yeah. And then I'm just doing the same thing here with this little clip of them walking up the hill. I'm putting it in fast motion so it looks like they're running, and then I'm using little cartoon running audio that's used in a lot of TikToks. Y'all probably also know that one. It's one of my favorites. Gets me every time. I really rewatched this like 5 times just while editing, laughing at it. Usually after a character says or does something like kind of funny or dumb, I will use the audio from the Nicki Minaj song Only, you know, the like dun 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 dun, and I'll zoom in on people's faces right on each beat. So I just like drag the clips around and cut them so each beat is a new cut, and I just kind of find the funny faces. Usually the people aren't actually making the face directly in response to what was just said. I'll especially try to time it so if there's like a head turn or something, the head turn is right in time with the beat. It just makes it all look better. This is one of my favorite things to do. I probably overuse it a little bit, but I think it's really funny. For pretty much all of my edits, I always use the keyframes on the effects panel. So the main one that I use is the position and scale that allows me to make the like zoom in on people's faces for dramatic effect or comedic effect. And to do that, you just like hit the little timer button, and then there's like a diamond that pops up, and you click it every time you want to like mark a keyframe. I don't know, this isn't really like a beginner tutorial. I definitely recommend watching like Adobe Premiere beginner tutorials if you're really wanting to learn how to use Adobe Premiere and make edits. I've been using this for so long that a lot of this is just innate for me, so I feel like I'm not explaining it very well, but I'm trying. So I usually just like kind of move the camera all over the place to try to make it funny or whatnot. It just, whenever someone's making a face or someone's talking, I'll like move it back and forth for the little comedic effect type of vibe. And then after I do all my cuts and pans and all of that is when I add in the text. Usually people call them like my captions or my subtitles. It's just when I'm like putting commentary over the video. Either the commentary is like what someone is saying, like what I imagine they're thinking inside their head, or it's just like something random. Like if I just want to say something that I think is funny, I put it there. I just think of them on the spot. I have no like advice for how to come up with them. I just watched the clip and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to type here. I usually use the font Career New, which is like the typewriter font, and I just usually adjust the size so it fits in the frame, but it's like usually in between the 50 and 100 size. I've also been adding a stroke to the outside of the font, just like outlining the font in black so that it's easier to see. But each time I want to add text, I just go down to that little T, click it, and I like drag it across to make a little text box, type in it, and you can treat the text boxes pretty much exactly the same as clips. You can make cuts with them, you can drag them around, you can use keyframes to change the positioning of them and all of that. So here I'm just like lining up the text with what Harry is saying. Sometimes I just literally type what he's saying or what the character is saying and just like line it up, just because I think like what they're saying is really funny or the way they're saying it is funny, and I want to emphasize that, and I also just don't really have anything else to put there. So that's what I am doing there. And I mean, I feel like a lot of the things that I type are like, I type the same things in a lot of my videos, like Azkaban, or this is prison, or please say psych, what I'm putting over his head right now. But I mean, at this point, like, it's just kind of like, it's innate for me. I don't really have any advice for how to like actually come up with the captions, but if you're familiar with the show and you're familiar with the characters, it's pretty easy to like get inside their head, quote unquote, and like imagine you know what they're thinking or what you would be thinking in that situation. Usually the second to last thing I do is add the little bubble head fisheye effect. Most of you affectionately call it the Elena filter, which I absolutely love. So this is under distort, and the reason I do this second to last is it usually takes up more computer power to render and show the previews and whatnot, so I don't want my playback to be slow the entire time I'm editing because of the sphere eyes effect. So I basically just drag that effect onto the clip, and then to the left you have the controls. You can control how big the little bubble head is, and you can control where it is on the screen, and you can use keyframes for both of those things. So I will sometimes turn on the keyframe for it if the person's moving their head around a lot, just so I can line it up with the person's head like as it's moving around the screen. And then usually the last thing that I will do is add music to the clip. My favorite music to use is the Me Channel music. I also like this song from iMovie called Fifth Avenue Stroll. With this clip, the music that was in the movie was honestly pretty funny, so I tried to line the music up and whatnot, but it just didn't sound really good. I only use it right at the end when they're like talking and the music gets a little quieter, and I thought it worked like that. It really just like is something that you have to like play around with and see what you like in terms of like volume and lining it up and everything. From here I export it. I use H.264 to export the video, and I save it to my documents usually. The H.264 makes sure that I can actually airdrop it and the video will play on my iPhone. So once I have saved it, I just airdrop it to myself, and then I upload it to TikTok from there. So I hope this was somewhat helpful for you guys. Like I said, I'm not really the best at like beginner tutorials because I've been doing a lot of this stuff for so long, but definitely feel free to ask any questions or for any like clarifications on the things I was doing in this. If you have any further questions, I'm sure you do. But thank you for watching this. I hope it was somewhat helpful. I love you guys, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye!